Much better. Okay, thank you very much for coming to, this is a program by the Parsippany Green Team. This one is called Renewable Energy Aggregation. Just some Zoom etiquette. I have you on mute. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we will do a Q&A at the end of the program. Ken Dolsky is our presenter. So Ken, take it away.
Very good, Judy. Thank you. I'm going to share my screen here and we'll get started in a second. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about a new way for Parsippany residents to buy electricity and get better prices and get increased amounts of clean energy. And I am a member of the Parsippany Green Team. The Parsippany Green Team is basically sponsoring this program, although this program is a state-sanctioned program that was developed by the Board of Public Utilities. And joining me in this presentation is Judy Hernandez, and if Matt, who's a co-leader of the Parsippany Green Team, and Matt Kavanaugh, if he shows up, will also participate. And so, as probably everybody knows, I think it was in the late 1900s, in the late, the late 1990s or thereabout, that in New Jersey, the energy markets, electricity markets were deregulated. And so now we have the opportunity to purchase electricity with much higher renewable energy content, also known as clean energy, at a lower cost than we pay to JCP&L today. So the presentation will explain this program, why it is so beneficial to Parsippany, how it's guaranteed to save residents money while improving our air quality, lowering our health risks and our healthcare costs, and reducing.
So I don't know if that answered your questions, Mel. There's
Yes.
we're gonna spend an entire lecture.
Okay, are we okay?
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about. I apologize, Ken.
Oh,
Okay, go ahead.
okay. So we're going to reduce our health risks, our healthcare costs, and reduce the many risks from the damages of climate change. We'll also go and explain why it is so important to do this, as an entire community. So as I mentioned, this program is being presented by the Parsippany Green Team. And Matt, I assume you're not here yet? I don't hear you. Okay.
No.
So basically, the Parsippany Green Team was formed last year. Our mission is to work with our residents, our town government, our business community, and look for ways that we can improve our quality of life and our physical, environmental, and financial sustainability of our community. We have many, many programs that are underway. You can see a lot of them on the Parsippany Green Team Facebook page. And we also have a website that has a lot of the information on the Renewable Energy Aggregation program. And I will give you that website, at the end of the presentation. Before we get into the program itself, I wanted to invite Judy to talk about the impacts of air pollution and climate change, because that's really why this program is so important. These are issues that we are dealing with today. They're caused by burning of fossil fuels, and the Renewable Energy Aggregation program is designed to mitigate and reduce the impacts of both air pollution and climate change in New Jersey. So Judy, you want to say a few words here?
Yeah, sure. So as we know, we're experiencing climate change, and that's a result of greenhouse gases, fossil fuels being burned. It changes our climate, increases the temperature overall, sea levels are rising, and air pollution is worsening. And where we live in Morris County, we do have an rated level for ground level ozone. And Parsippany, of course, is near all sorts of highways and lots of traffic. And so we're dense, and so we're the worst in Morris County. Air pollution is responsible for so many different diseases and deaths per year. For instance, 200,000 deaths per year in the United States from fossil fuel air pollution, and 12,000 from excessive heat. And that's not even talking about other kinds of diseases from insects and infrastructure issues, storms, severe weather. New Jersey happens to be one of the fastest warming states in the country. Municipal costs, as I just mentioned, from storm destruction and flood prevention are on the rise. We have insect infestations and vector-borne diseases, and on and on. What we can do, not quickly, but what we can do to really lessen the greenhouse gases is to reduce our use of fossil fuels. And the best way for us to do that is to reduce our use of fossil fuels in the way of driving and how we use energy. So this program, Renewable Energy Aggregation, will offer us that opportunity to make a dent in that in Parsippany, and we have pledged as a town to do so. Over the last 20 years, the energy costs have gone down a little bit as compared to fossil fuels, actually quite a lot. And so this is a great time to be talking about renewable energy aggregation. You want to go to the next one, Ken? I don't.
Yeah.
Next
Well,
slide.
this is yeah. Well, before
Yeah.
we leave this one, I just wanted to mention there was an article in Forbes, I think early this year or late last year, that talked about the problems from air pollution. And they said the loss of life expectancy globally from air pollution surpasses that of HIV/AIDS, parasitic, vector-borne, and other infectious diseases by a large margin. It exceeds the loss of life due to all forms of violence by an order of magnitude, and that of smoking by a third. And so the point is, air pollution is really killing people. It's making every single one of us more susceptible to disease. It's just that it's a hidden issue and it's hard for us to see it. But through this program, we are going to do something about it.
Mhm.
So, what is the Renewable Energy Aggregation Program? So basically, in this program, municipalities aggregate their electricity usage, and they go out to third parties in the market, and they get better prices than we're paying JCP&L, as well as increased amounts of green energy. And so there are third parties now in the market because the market is deregulated. And in New Jersey, JCP&L provides 21% of its electricity through green renewable technologies. But these third parties can give us a lot more. They can give us much higher percentages of green energy, up to 100% of our electricity from green energy. So they offer a lot more clean energy content. And they make the adoption of clean energy much, much easier. It's really, as I like to say, an elegant solution to the challenge of convincing everybody to take action to lower your carbon footprint. And we'll talk a little bit more about carbon footprint, but you realize that when you look for ways to go green by driving EVs, turning your thermostat up or down in the summer and winter, being careful about the products that you buy in terms of their overall energy content, it's an effort, and it takes a lot of time and energy, and that sometimes costs you investment money. This program is going to be available to all residents and commercial entities, and the magic of it is that you can reduce your carbon footprint by actually doing nothing, and we'll explain how that works. So in REA, the town aggregates its electricity, and we go out in an auction that's set up by the BPU, the Board of Public Utilities, and PJM, which is PJM Interconnect, which is the organization that manages our electricity grid in New Jersey and about 13 other states. And we hold what's called a reverse auction. So that means that instead of you bidding, third party suppliers are going to bid on our demand. And that means that there's not going to be any individual residential or commercial sales. No salespeople are going to bother you. No commissions are going to be paid to anyone. In fact, this whole process is going to be invisible to individual residents. When we get the bids, the Parsippany Town Council and the administration are going to decide which bid, if any, to accept. They don't have to accept the bid. They could just wait till the marketplace changes and then go out to bid, and again in a few months. So it's entirely under their control. The price is fixed as well as the contract period. And by law, the price has to be less than what JCP&L would charge us. The price cannot go up during the contract period. And when the contract expires, we either go back out to bid, or if there's no new contract, we just return to JCP&L as our supplier, again, invisible to all residents. And it's not something that you would sign up for, and then 3 years later, you would wonder, what's going on with that? Am I still paying those prices? As soon as things change in terms of status, you'll be identified by mail. So there's no concern that you would forget about, the status of this and that you're involved. And the nice thing about it is that there's no action needed by any resident who wants to participate. And we'll explain kind of how that works a little bit later. So as we said, we're going to reduce our cost of electricity. By law, we're going to have a base contract. And by that, what I mean is, because we will get an offer, like I said, JCP&L, all energy providers in New Jersey have to offer at least 21% of their electricity from clean energy sources. But we would get offers, and our base contract offer might be something on the order of 40% clean energy. And if that's the base price, that must be less than what JCP&L charges. And then we'd be able to increase the amount of electricity, the amount of clean energy from there. So we might get an offer for 40%. That's less than what JCP&L charges. Then we could get another tier in that same offer for maybe 70 or 80%. That would cost a little bit more. And then probably we would get 100% offer that would cost a little bit more. And we give people the option to buy as much clean energy as they want. But again, the base charge would be less than JCP&L. They're fully protected from market price increases. The price cannot go up. And it enables everybody to painlessly contribute to solving the climate crisis. It gives us a lot more choices of how do we go about getting clean energy. And you have the option to buy at different tiers. And so instead of having a government mandate that like we have today, which says, thou shalt offer such and such amount of clean energy, this gives us allows us to drive change through, through customer incentives, through market incentives, because you're going to want to, use this because of the benefits that are inherent in it. And so as we talked about the benefits of renewable energy, as Judy talked about, we're going to reduce our costs and our risks of air pollution and climate change, and reduce these other issues with premature death risks, the pressure on the cost of our insurance, and issues such as property damage, cost of dealing with floods, cost of flood prevention, dealing with drought, etc. Crime, as it turns out, is a function of temperature, meaning as the weather gets hotter, crime goes up. So the more we control our temperature and the more we control climate change, we won't have as much crime, and we can impact our carbon footprint. And so we did some calculations and looked at if 100% of Parsippany residents participated in this program, and we reached the baseline offer of 40% of our electricity being renewable compared to 21% today. That would be the equivalent of removing 24,000 tons of carbon from the atmosphere and removing CO2 emissions from 133 rail cars or 2.4 million gallons of gasoline. If we got to the point where 100% of our people were participating and they were all buying 100% clean energy, that would be the equivalent of removing 106,000 tons of carbon, 530 rail cars worth of coal, or like 10.8 million gallons of gasoline. And so when we looked at our total residential carbon footprint, meaning taking all the residents of Parsippany together and looking at how much energy we use for carbon involved in driving, heating our homes, electricity in our homes, if we got to this 100% level, we would reduce our carbon footprint by 26%, which is really a significant amount. And like I said, it's all accomplished without doing anything whatsoever and just allowing this program to be implemented. There's no other way that you can reduce your carbon footprint so much with so little effort. I want to talk just for a minute about the importance of overall of increasing the demand for clean energy. So what happens in the network is that when towns join this program and they say that they want to go out to market and they want to buy more clean energy, or they want to buy electricity that has more clean energy content, it really sends a signal to the market that there's a big demand for clean energy. And so companies that produce clean energy today, or companies that look at that and say there's a market for it, start producing more. And that increases the competition, it lowers the price of renewable energy, and over time, the entire grid becomes cleaner. It's what I call it a virtuous cycle, because the more you do it, the better it becomes. And so as more and more people want clean energy, the entire electric grid, the entire PJM grid becomes cleaner throughout the entire region. And that improves the air quality of the entire region and all the associated benefits. And again, this is through a market demand approach, giving people benefits, giving them more than they have today for a better price, which drives this entire cycle. So a little bit of background about what happened with deregulation and how electricity is sold in New Jersey today. So today you get your electric bill and it has two components, one called delivery and the other supply. The delivery is the actual electric network. It's the transmission lines, the local distribution network, the wires that run to your house, and that remains JCP&L by law. We have no choice. The government carved up New Jersey, and Parsippany was given, JCP&L has a set of customers, a set of towns that it serves. Parsippany is one of them, and there's no way that that's going to change. What we can change is the actual supply of electricity that's carried over the wires, and that's where we have the choice, and that's where we're going to change. And so the delivery service stays the same. You'll receive the same bill, the same format from JCP&L. If you've got a budget arrangement, that doesn't change. You're going to call the same company for service calls, for emergencies, for outages. For better or for worse, it's JCP&L. But we are going to change the supply, and we are going to get more renewable energy content, and we are going to get more options in terms of how much renewable energy we can use. And so what really happens behind the scenes here, and again, it's all transparent to residents, is that there's two sets of transactions. One's a paper transaction and the other is a physical transaction. On the paper transaction side, what happens is the JCP&L is going to send a list of all Parsippany residents to a consultant that we are going to hire. And there are several out there who are very, very familiar with these programs, have been working on this for years, and have excellent records for getting us the best options in the auction market, and also for helping solve, helping residents with this process. So the consultant is going to indicate which residents want to receive the new price, and will send that information back to JCP&L. And then JCP&L will change its billing records for those people who want to receive a new price, and will start applying it. So we know, for example, that JCP&L prices average about 9.2 to 9.3 cents kilowatts per hour. And the third party may charge 9.1, whatever it is, cents kilowatt per hour. And that becomes the price that you, as a resident who are, are decided to use this program, that's the price that you're going to pay. So the third party provider never sees any customer names or records. They don't, they know Parsippany is buying clean energy and that's all they know. And your bill shows your new price. In terms of physical transactions at your home, nothing really changes. JCP&L still delivers the same electricity, the same electrons that it would have delivered without the program. Meanwhile, in the broader network, the PJM interconnect network that stretches from New Jersey all the way out to the Midwest, some third party that we contracted with is selling more clean energy into the PJM grid. And the net effect of that is that over time, as more and more third parties are selling electricity into the grid, the pool of electricity gets cleaner, and we receive a higher proportion of our actual electrons of electricity from clean energy sources. And in case you you didn't know about this, and it wasn't really announced, but last year, the Board of Public Utilities gave JCP&L a rate increase of 4%. I think it had to do with their need for more money to improve their transmission and distribution network to prevent outages that we've seen in the type that we've seen recently with them. But it translates into a raise of about $4 per month for the average resident. And like I said, that's going to be in the delivery portion of your bill, which you're going to pay to JCP&L. So we can't offset that by going to a third party because it's part of the bill of that we're stuck with. However, by implementing REA and cutting the price of the electricity portion of our bill, we can we can offset some or all of that $4 a month increase that we know we're going to see from JCP&L. Actually, the bills are going to start in November. And so if you've ever been to a Parsippany Town Council meeting and seen discussions about the budget, you know what that can be like, and that residents are always interested in pushing the town to reduce our tax rates. Of course, the town is limited in what it can actually do with that, in that regard. However, the REA enables Parsippany, because Parsippany does have a role in this, to be able to further reduce your expenses by putting us into this program. And I'll explain the role of Parsippany in a minute or two. So Judy, would you like to walk us through the opt-in versus opt-out process?
Sure. So for this program, for the commercial customers, it would be an opt-in program. For residential people like us on this call here, it would be an opt-out program. Did I say that right? Commercial is opt-in, and for residents, it's opt-out. And the reason why the program requires an opt-out approach is that programs asking people to do something to opt in does not achieve the volume of customers needed to receive the best prices and cost savings available. People want to, maybe people do want to opt in, but people get busy. They misplace the envelope that they got in the mail or the request. They don't answer the phone. Everybody has a lot of competing things in their lives that people just tend to ignore other requests and delay responding. And they think that maybe there's something written between the lines. But what we all want is a good price, not more than what we spend now. And we want a good product and clean energy, and to do good by reducing our carbon footprint. There's no hidden agenda here, no tricks for residents into participating into a program that will be more. And it is just simply that an opt-out process is the best way to bring benefits of this program to Parsippany.
So
and
if you
the
think,
energy consultant that we use makes it very easy.
Yeah, so I'll just say one more thing. If you think about it, if I come up to you as an individual and I say, how would you like to save money on your electric bill and use more clean energy? And you're going to say to me, okay, yeah, I'm interested. What's it going to cost me? And my answer is doing nothing. If you do nothing, that's what you're going to get. So how much easier could it be, and how much more desirable could the opt-out approach or the opt-in, the opt-out approach be for residents, where you don't have to do anything in order to get the benefits?
So for those who may want to opt out because for whatever reason, because it's not going to be more money. So, but people, they have the idea that they want to opt out. They can do all of these things listed here. They can return that option in a prepaid return mail envelope. You can email. This will all be provided by the consultant when and if this happens. There will be an 800 number. You can verbally inform the consultant at the town meeting that this is presented at. It can be done anytime during the contract with never a penalty. And the contracts are usually 18 to 24 months, right, Ken?
Yeah,
Each
24
residential
months,
customer-
24 months is the maximum.
the max. So each residential customer will receive written notification 30 days before the contract starts, showing the price, the comparison to the utility price, and their right to opt out. So there are all these reasons, but why would anybody want to do that? It's as easy as pie. Okay.
We like pie.
Pie.
And so,
Sounds
another benefit is the fact that you can go to these third parties yourself today, and they're listed on the BPU page, and you can buy, electricity from a third party yourself. However, you have to be very careful. There might be some hidden fees. There might be teaser rates. I know one plan that, I spoke to some people who are using that, after 12 months, it transitions to a variable rate plan. It's definitely a higher rate. They could have misleading claims on renewable energy. I tried to pin down one company who claimed they offered 100% renewable. They could never prove it. They sent me information that was very ambiguous, and didn't prove that they were actually offering it or how they were doing it. There could be billing problems. None of that is going to happen in this case. You're not on your own to deal with anything like that. Should that actually happen, our consultant will address all those problems. And by the way, there's no direct payments to the consultant either. The consultant gets paid a small percentage, like 0.0007 cents per kilowatt hour. That's built into the price that you pay. And even with that being built in, your price would still be lower than JCP&L. And in the past, a program like this had been presented to Parsippany. There was concern that there were going to be people who were going door to door, were soliciting residents, by mail. None of that's going to take place. The consultant is the only one that's going to be involved in, selling, in working with us to get a contract. And so the bottom line is literally there's no risk to this for any resident. The energy auction is held under the auspices of the Board of Public Utilities and PJM Interconnect. It's a very, very public, kind of auction that they've been doing it for years. Even the utilities use these auctions. The contracts, like we said, have a fixed rate. There's no way the price can increase other than if state or federal law changed, but then everybody's price would go up. Guaranteed to be below JCP&L. I think I've said that 5 times. You can opt out at any time. You don't have to, opt out in the beginning. You can decide, halfway through the contract that you want to opt out. Absolutely no charge. Nobody else sees this customer information. There's no risk from blackouts due to the fact that we're going to be using more renewable energy. It's not like the situation which actually did not take place in Texas, but was reputed to have taken place, where somehow, wind energy caused the problems. The fact is that more renewable energy will be entering the PJM Interconnect network. PJM Interconnect is responsible to make sure that all the utilities in the pool have sufficient electricity at all times. That's their responsibility. Blackouts that we've had locally have all been due to JCP&L's local network and have nothing to do with PJM or the amount of renewable energy that PJM is using. And like I said, town council and administration don't have to accept any bids that they don't like, and we can just go back to the market, at a later time. Here are just a few examples of savings that other towns are getting. Livingston expects $1 million in savings. Maplewood, 8,000 households will save $1 million. Montclair will save almost $2 million. These savings are significant. But market conditions vary. These savings are in PSC and G territory and JCP&L areas. Actually, JCP&L has a lower price than PSC and G, and so our savings will be more modest. But these are the kinds of things that are happening in the market right now. And so the bottom line is it's going to, REA is going to reduce our costs and it'll give us more control. We'll be able to buy as much or little clean energy as we want. It grows the overall market in a great way to make renewable energy much more popular. And as you increase renewable energy, you also increase the cost effectiveness of it, and increase the scale, drive the unit cost down. Overall, renewable energy will protect our health and clean our air and reduce our carbon footprint, and overall reduce climate change problems. No risks to any of the residents, increases our choices of providers, and is extremely elegant. It's a beautiful way to lower our carbon footprint by doing nothing and painlessly contribute to solving the climate crisis. And so with that, next steps in this process is that the town council has to pass an ordinance to authorize the program. And we've spoken to the council, we've spoken to the members individually, and they said that because of the opt-in, opt-out situation, which has caused a little bit of friction in the past, where some people felt uncomfortable having to opt out, they asked to see evidence of support for this kind of program from residents. And so we've created a survey, and after I stop sharing, I am going to put this survey link in the discussion part, sidebar. And we're asking people to take this survey. It'll take you 10 minutes, and let us know what you think about the program, whether you like it or you don't like it. And we are going to present that information, as an overall summary to the town council in terms of what % of the people said that they like it, what % of the people were uncomfortable with it. And other actions that you could take, you could please speak to your friends and neighbors about this. You can get a lot of resources, a copy of this PowerPoint, a description of the program, a lot of the things that I talked to you about today at our Parsippany Green Team REA page. And this is the link, https parsippanygreenteam.com/REA. I'll put that in the chat in a minute. And you could also contact members of the town council via email by going to this site, which is on our our municipal website. You can speak up at town council meetings and tell the town council members that you support this program or you hate it, whatever you want, but you can speak to them and tell them what your thoughts are. You could submit letters to media like Parsippany Focus and Patch. And if you belong to another outside organization, if you have a community organization or any other organization, we'd be more than happy to give this presentation and speak to people and make sure that everybody fills out the survey at this link. So with that, if you want to contact me, you can see my email address here, kdolsky@optonline.net. Feel free to send me an email, ask me any questions, tell me anything that you like. And if you want, you can send an email through to the Parsippany Green Team at parsippanygreenteam@gmail.com. So with that, I think we're ready to take some questions, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
So at this point, if you, I mean, I don't have any problem with you unmuting yourself and asking any questions you'd like to. Or if you're not comfortable with that, you can put them in the chat and I will read them out loud for Ken or Judy. I know that I had put a question in the chat, but you had answered it of how many other towns are doing this, but you already answered that. I should probably know the answer to that myself. This is not the first time I've seen this. But if you bring up the chat, you will see that Ken has put the survey link in there. You can take a picture of it with your phone, or you can contact, Ken's going to put his email in there also.
Yeah.
And the, if you wanted to
Okay.
put the
I'm putting our
Parsippany, yeah, the Parsippany Green Team. If you wanted to put the Parsippany Green Team in the, yep, that's in there now. Okay. Now, did you share that with everyone or just with me?
Oh, geez. I don't know. This would be library too.
No, yeah, I think you have to like do the pull down and
Yeah.
say, so it says everyone, and then put it back in there again.
Oh,
That's okay.
okay.
That's okay.
All right. Okay.
Okay,
So,
so-
so
There's a question in here. Is this Charlotte, my neighbor? I think so. Cool. Charlotte is, unless this is her husband, is asking, I used a third-party power company and had to pay a balloon payment when the company went out of business. This will not happen. This is a New Jersey program. This is part of New Jersey's government program. This is controlled by that. It's not these third parties. You want to explain that a little bit again, with the PJM and the BP. This is a state-run, or how to, did you see the question, Ken? Or you?
right,
yeah.
I used to pay
So
a
this
balloon
is-
payment when the company went out of business.
Yeah, this is not like the ones
Right.
before, especially with the adjustable rates that they had, and people were selling like credits for clean energy back in the
Right.
day when energy was, the renewables were so high. And that's what people think when we start talking about this. They think that this is that, but it's not.
Right, this will never
is New
happen.
Jersey State.
This will never happen because we would, if there were terms and conditions associated with a bid that we got, and they had something like this, we would not accept it, or we would negotiate it away, because we'd have the power to do that. As an individual, you had to take that or leave it, but we would be able to leave it or push them to force us, to force them to change those terms and conditions.
Right.
And
And
I think she might have been, even if she was just asking because she wanted maybe us to explain it, because we will get asked that question by people. And so thank you for that question, because this is why there's strength in numbers. This is why the opt out is best, because we go to the state and we have these numbers, and this is what we're dealing with here. And we're getting, this is the way of the future. And Parsippany is leading this way, and there's a lot of interest with the towns around us for us even looking at this so far. So we're trying to get the word out, and if you can help us spread that
right.
word, it would be fantastic.
So Hank has a question. Hank, you can go ahead. You're unmuted.
Thank you. I wanted to know what portion of the cost of development of renewable energy, of this new renewable energy is to be paid by the federal or state or local government, or is it just totally transparent to all entities, including government? I don't understand how this will work.
Well, the way it
Well, the
works,
state,
well,
can I just, the state has been required to include, utilities have been required to provide more clean energy content over, the last 20 years. They've had to increasingly include more in with their generating. And so we are generating renewables in our state. Okay, you and Ken is our energy expert here, so.
and so what we're talking about here is third parties that, or it may be a utility in some places, that decides that they want to build solar farms or wind farms or both, because there's a market for that product and they can sell it back to their grid. So today, for example, in New Jersey, though this might work a little different with PJM, but if you put solar on your roof, you could sell it all back to the grid. And the same thing is true with these companies that want to sell into the PJM market. They would invest their own money, and maybe there's some kind of government subsidy for it, but they're not being subsidized the way residents would, if we put up solar on our roofs. And they would make it, in a lot of places now, New Jersey, not so much. Solar is more cost effective than gas. And so a lot of it has to do with the cost of the land and the availability of the land and what it's going to take for you to, hook up your solar facility or your wind facility to the local grid. But the cost of solar, in terms of a technology, is now cheaper than generating electricity from gas generators. And so those companies want to sell that, and they build their facility, and when there's a market, they can make money.
Ken, I'm sorry, but all that I've read tells me that there's a significant amount of revenue that needs to be invested in the development of wind farms as well as solar farms, and the cost of the battery issue is very, very fraught, and my understanding is that the energy companies have the ability to charge back an amount so that they are profitable. So what they invest, in fact, can become a taxation on us if there is not enough profit in it for them. And this has been something that has occurred for the last 50 years or more. So I'm questioning whether or not that is actually the case. And I'm not trying to be argumentative or difficult. I just like to make sure that we're getting the right information and it's fully correct.
So utilities, you're right. Utilities have traditionally been able to get rates based on the amount of money that they invest. However, what's happening, and especially recently PSE&G announced, for example, that they're divesting all of their electric generating facilities. And the reason they're doing it for a couple of reasons, but one is they don't make much money on it. Well, the second reason is a lot of it is gas, and they're getting a bad name for using gas in New Jersey. And so that market is changing. And so the company really, like PSE&G, is basically making money on its distribution. And I don't even know if JCP&L has any of its own electric generating facilities. It may, but it goes out to auction and it buys on the market as well. And so the market basically is changing from the regulated rate of return to a more competitive market. Like Texas wind is now so prevalent that the prices for it are the lowest in the country. And you can buy credits for Texas wind any place, and it's a lot less than what you pay for electricity, locally.
But we also know that the rates in Texas recently was very, very well publicized as having gone from hundreds to thousands during their last
Yeah, but that was a function of the way that they regulate their industry or don't regulate their industry. They chose to allow the market to work like that. But if we had a deal with a wind farm in Texas, we would have a contract that says basically, here's what we're going to pay per kilowatt hour, and I don't care what the hell happens in terms of your weather. We're not going to pay any more. I mean, you have total control over something with this kind of contract.
Well, we haven't seen
There
that
are a
in the
lot of other
past, but
problems in Texas.
maybe we'll have it in the future, and I hope you're right. Thank you, Ken.
Well, the example I showed of the towns that are in PSE&G territory, they're saving that kind of money. And PSE&G isn't going to be able to go to the Board of Public Utilities and say, all these people are buying renewable energy from other sources. I want a rate increase. That's not going to happen anymore.
I hope you're right.
The more people have, oh, I'm sorry, Hank.
That's okay. You can mute me now, or I'll mute myself.
No.
No, Hank, I will tell you, and I'm not an expert in this, but I have dabbled in some of this stuff and listened to a lot of people talk about it. The sophistication of the electricity market in this country and maybe others, it is unbelievably complicated.
Yes, Ken, I absolutely agree with you there, and that is why it's really important that we all have a real clear understanding of what it is that we might be embarking on, because I've lived in Parsippany for a very long time, and I don't want to dominate your conversation, but I would like to say that many years ago, I had a meeting at my home, with the mayor at the time, John Fahey, and they were introducing cable, and they asked me to invite all of my neighbors to my home, and I did, and I think it was Cablevision, but I'm not sure which iteration it was of the company that so many are complaining about today. I think they started off at $9 or $10 or $13. And when I started cutting wires not too long ago, I was at $230. And I don't want our town and our citizens, many of them are not young people like me. I mean, you're still a boy, but the fact of the matter is that many people might not be able to afford a mistake, and that's where I'm truly coming from.
Okay, look, I'm glad you extended the conversation to talk about that, because that has come up before. That was an issue, I think in 2011 or 2013, when a program similar to this was talked about in the town. And at that time, there was no price control, or it was, not a guaranteed, prices could go up. And the BPU, saw these problems, and that's why they restructured the program and put down a lot of guidelines that we are now living with, that, for better or for worse, it has to be an opt-out program. That's the law. For better or for worse, it has to be less than JCP&L. That's the law. So the BPU did a lot of work to address that kind of issue. And like I said, 24 months is the maximum contract period. And the way the BPU structured the program, the price to the customers cannot go up during the 24 months. After 24 months, there could be, another offer, but the town council has the option to not accept any other offers if the prices go up. So there's a lot of controls that have been built in.
I'm very respectful of that, Ken. I just am wondering, does JCP&L have to take us back if
Yes.
in fact we can't find a better option?
Yes, they absolutely do. That's part of their charter as a utility. And
They're
what I've
still our
been told-
distributor.
I've been told that they don't really care one way or the other whether we buy their electricity or not, because they're not making much money on it. And the same thing with
Everything's
PSE&G.
changing. We're on the cusp of things changing. The state and they're investing in these energies. And if we're doing this, and then the other towns are doing this, it'll just cause more investment in these energies. But we are on the change of something for the future, and we need to. We can't keep, coal plants are not even being built anymore, really.
We've had a lot of discussions with Gable Associates, who is one of the biggest consultants in this area.
Yes.
We've run through all that with them, and they've been doing this for years.
Well, good. It sounds like you've done a lot of good work, and I thank you for explaining it to us. That's very kind of you. Thank you all.
I will personally
Thank you.
guarantee anybody's bill out of my own pocket. And if
Uh-oh.
it goes up, I will pay. Other than if it's a, other than if it's a government mandated, everybody, situation.
Everybody in the world.
That's how confident I am that, nothing's gonna go wrong here.
Yeah. Ken, I do have a question in the chat. Can the town council feel the
I
savings
love it.
of this program like they did with the sewer water billing system?
Well, okay, the answer is no. The town council doesn't touch any money involved in any way, shape, or form around this program. So there's never any money that there's no way that they can get their hands on any money. The
Yeah.
contract, even the consultant doesn't get paid for the town council. It's all
It's not a
between,
Parsippany utility.
it's all between the third party and the residents via JCP&L. We can
And then-
debate whether they stole the money with the sewer water billing system, but no, the answer is town council will never see a dime of this money.
I just had to ask, it sounds good. Charlotte said, why not try REA? It's a win for all of us, no matter what.
Yes, and so the answer, and Judy knows, is when they tried this in 2011, and people found out about it, they did not do a project, they did not approach it like this with an education process to tell people what's in it, and let people like Hank, ask all the questions and get it all out. All they knew was that if they didn't like it, they have to opt out. It had no renewable energy component. I don't know that there was a limit on pricing, and the pricing could have gone up.
Mhm.
And so according to Mike DiPiero, 400 people showed up with pitchforks at the town council meeting, and we're not happy with this. And so
At the high school. No, I remember those days, and it wasn't like this at all. It's not the same program, but
right.
people
So-
don't, they
and
won't know
so-
those nuances.
Mike is still around, he's the memory component of the town council for like the last 50 years. And he doesn't want to go through that again. And so he told us, he said, you guys go out and sell this and have everybody, and if we get a lot of good feedback that people want this, then we'll authorize it.
Right. And that's why it's really important that all of you take the survey so that we can hear what so we have that information to go to the town and say, we have all these people that took the survey and these are their feelings. And
Exactly.
so it's really important if all of you could just go and take that survey, that would be very much appreciated. And it's in the chat, so you could just go look at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And if you can't find, if you don't, you can also just go to our REA page, which I put up there, and it's got all the same resources. You can find everything that we just talked about.
Yep.
I just want to say one thing, and that is that I'm very respectful of the presentation made by Ken and Judy, and I don't know the other young lady's name. I'm sorry for that,
That's
but
okay.
I truly appreciate this level of openness and decency in sharing information, because I remember those days with the former presentation and many other different presentations, and Mike certainly knows that I know many of them, having going back a very long time in this town as he does. Okay, what I would say to you, and I urge this, that those others of your group really need to be open with people not force them away and not cancel out their questions and their thinking, because that's what caused problems in the past between water and sewerage and other presentations in the past. This is a very good approach, and you guys have done a very fine job, and I'm appreciative of that. Thank you.
Thank you. I've had the same
Thank you, Hank.
I've had the same tooth grinding reaction to some of the presentations and the way information has come out of the town, the town. I got it.
Thank you.
The Parsippany Library has been great. Thank you, Jean Marie, for letting us do this and other presentations on some of the Parsippany Green Team initiatives. So keep an eye out on the Parsippany Library page for more presentations.
Thanks, Judy. Charlotte also
Thank you.
said, careful, if taking the survey on a phone, one might need to turn the phone to landscape to get all 10 choices on the screen. I almost did 1 through 5 only. And then C. Lebetta said, thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Yeah, I can't control, how this looks on the iPhone. It works great on a
Yeah, I
PC,
didn't
it
even
works
think of
great on a
that.
tablet.
It's always good to put that out there, though, because more and more people are doing things. That was a very good point she made. More and more people are doing things on their phone. So
Charlotte, let me make you an offer.
I think
The way
she
it's
does.
set up right now, if you take the survey on a specific device, you cannot take it again on the same device. And we did that to prevent a situation where people who don't like the program decide that they take the survey over and over again to, stack the deck. However, if you had a problem, you can email me and I could turn that option off for you, and you can take it again if you let me know.
Okay. She hasn't, but I think it sounds to
She
me
left.
like that Charlotte has, whoops, maybe mine didn't count. That's what Charlotte said.
Well, if you went through to the end, it counted.
Right. If you did all 10, then you're okay.
Yeah, if you got all the questions done, yeah.
Yes. But that was good advice, though. I guess maybe that's something we should add to the repertoire when we're saying taking the survey. If you're taking it on your phone, make sure you turn it to landscape, just a little extra piece of information. So that was a good piece. Thanks.
All right, I'll maybe put that into the PowerPoint.
The things we learned through Zoom. Does anyone else have any comments or any other questions that they would like to ask? Like I said, you can always reach out to Ken has given his information in the chat. And of course, if worse comes to worse, you can always call the Parsippany Library and ask for Jean Marie, and I can help you in any way possible. We can send you to Ken or Judy and get you set up with a little help if you needed it. So.
Great, thank you.
All right, then,
All right.
Since nobody has any other questions, everyone have a very nice evening. Have a great weekend.
Okay.
And one more thing I wanted to remind everyone, we are doing more green team programs. You can sign up for them on the Parsippany website. We have another 6 scheduled. I think it's 6 on various green team projects. So if you're I hope that you all be more interested in finding out what the green team is doing and sign up on the library website. Okay?
Great.
Sounds good.
Thank you
you,
so
Jean.
much, everyone.
All right.
Good
Paul
night.
Good
says
night.
Thank you very much. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Stop recording.